everybody, and welcome to Magical Monday.
It's Monday again, everybody.
It's a whole week gone by. What happened? What happened? I think somebody set the controls for the Heart of the Sun, and we're just like charging in there. I know time has accelerated.
Well, folks, we have a wonderful, wonderful guest today. We're very excited.
We're thrilled.
All the way from Essex,
Southend-on-Sea, with the longest pier apparently in all of the United Kingdom. We've got a wonderful, a beautiful character, a tremendous old soul, and if I'm sure she doesn't mind me saying, a bit of a mover and shaker in the craft. She's certainly influenced a lot of people there. So without further ado, we're going to introduce you to our special guest, Marion Pearce. Hello, Marion.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
Nice to meet you all over in America. Thank you. Lovely.
lovely.
Well, we have viewers all over the place. I think we've at least got couple of people in Germany and Australia and all that sort of stuff. Well, let's just say hello to our usual crew first.
I got to go back. We've got
my goodness, right.
Gilda and Sean and Wendy and Peggy and Laura and Susan and Logan and Savannah and Shayna and Cass and Carol.
Oh, hi, Carol. Carol, you're going to love this person. Let me tell you, you really are. Carol's one of our tribe, and she's
one of our Coven's founders.
Yes, yes, been around the block a time or two.
There's lots of people here, and Marion has 2 books that we have at the shop from Phoenix Flames: the Roman Calendar.
Can't say Roman without spitting.
Stop it. And Celtic Sacrifice. It's a book on Celtic spirituality.
Correct.
So,
correct.
Did you want to tell us a little bit about your history and your work with Pentacle?
Why not?
And then give us a little bit of information about the books. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes, for 12 years I ran Pentacle Magazine, and you might be interested, the articles are going to come out, right, in book form.
Oh!
But, I've got...
That's lovely.
There's a fabulous magazine.
Thank you. I was very, very honoured to be able to run it. I have an interest in pagan history. Pagan history, this is where everything happened. It's the start of civilization, was pagan. No way can you answer to that. Everything started off from the pagan civilization and pagan cultures. I mean, the Romans, for instance, they lived and died of a pagan dynasty. And the Celts. It was everything to them. It was not just a religion, it was a way of life to both of them. Mm-hmm. And I think perhaps it's just nice that now we're going back to that.
I think you're so right. Definitely, certainly from our perspective, it seems that the old gods are stirring, and there's definitely a renewed interest in more and more people want to take charge of their own spirituality. And I know from our point of view, when we try and explain Celtic spirituality, there really wasn't, because that was just the Celtic way of life. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go to church today. But you've spent a lifetime researching this.
I have indeed. It wasn't. I mean, Christianity, you go to church once a week, Now, with pagan religions like the Celts and the Romans, you lived it. Every day, right, was pagan. Or you had deities for all different things. So everything you did was a different deity, right? And it brought you closer and closer, right, to the earth. It was so different. And these civilizations flourished for hundreds of years. They weren't just, a few years here and there. They were a long, long while. And they were embedded, right, in pagan myths and in pagan law and pagan life.
And they watched the stars and the cycles of time very closely, right?
Of course they did. Of course they did. Astrology was everything. And when you think, right, that in ancient times, right, they used astrology properly, and it was important. Now, all the monarchy had astrologers. All monarchies did. Right? And they were very highly regarded. Now, this was a time in a monarchy, right? If you didn't do what you were supposed to do, off with your head. So it says an awful lot, right? That they had astrologers. You know, they would not, if it hadn't worked, and if it hadn't worked for them, they wouldn't have bothered. And I think we forget this. You know, nowadays, you know, we've lost touch. We've lost touch with our civilization. We've lost touch with the earth. You see, this is so nice about paganism, right? It puts the earth forward first. And that's so important. Now, look what we're doing to it.
Right. Where
We've
are we
got
going
to
to
go
live?
back.
Where are we going to live if we
Exactly.
destroy the
It's so true.
Exactly.
So true.
We have got to get back to what the old pagan religions and lives were about. You know, looking after the earth and, you know, everything on it. We've got to get back to that. We really have. We've lost too much.
Absolutely, I totally. Well, I mean, you're preaching to the choir here, obviously, but we do believe that we need to tread less heavily on the planet. Absolutely. I mean, there are very few core tenets, if you will, of pagan beliefs or Wiccan beliefs, particularly. But you know, responsibility for your own actions and respect for all living things, including the planet, is one of them. You know, or two of them. Sorry. So yeah.
Exactly. This is a huge part of modern paganism, right? As you say, respect for the planet, right? And that's so important. And I think this is what makes paganism so wonderful. Right? It's adaptive, right? And it's there, right, with your own interests, right, and the country's interests, and you know, the globe. It's global.
Right.
So let me ask you then, because you've been doing this a little while. What have you, Child of Promise? What brought you here? What's your story? How did you come to the craft? People would love to know.
I don't know. I just found it's strange. I used to spend a lot of time in the libraries, and I was very interested in ancient history. Very interested in ancient history. And when you get interested in ancient history, you get interested in ancient historical religions because it goes with it. At least it does to me. You've got to understand how these ancient civilizations worked. And it's very, very lucky that we've got a great deal. They've left us a wonderful supply, right, of ancient texts, so we know how these people lived. And I thought it was very important to publish these, the way they were living their lives. And I thought it was, it's important.
Now, I know the Romans kind of were out to conquer a lot of people.
So were the Brits. But
but in fairness to them, they were very adaptable as far as deities went. Is that true? Like they would kind of take into consideration the culture they were taking over, and
very much so. Very much so. Yes. They encouraged diversity. Now the Romans had a huge, huge empire, vast. Right. And they encouraged all different. So you went from locality to locality, right? All with their own personal gods that were suited to the area where they lived. Very, very. Oh, and they wrote it all down.
That
with
is
Tertullius.
true.
Hold on.
It's all good. Don't worry. They're right. Hopefully we can still see you. So just it's all good. It's all good. It's just the intertube. I hope you can. The intertubes sometimes are problematical, so don't worry. We'll just keep walking. We can see, everybody can see you here, so you're all good. Just carry on. The stiff upper lip and all the British way. Carry on. It's no problem. We'll just manage here.
So the Roman calendar.
The Roman calendar.
The Roman calendar book their holy
Yes,
days.
it's from Roman sources, right? It is direct from Roman sources. It is not from historical, or scientific. It is all from classical sources, how they actually lived. We are very
Wow.
fortunate that they wrote it all down for us. I mean,
I know.
Ovid was wonderful. Ovid was amazing. Not only for his metamorphosis, he also did some wonderful books, right? And
Interesting.
you read them. Oh,
Oh dear.
It's all right. You'll
We'll
be
keep
all right.
going. Oh, we lost that.
Maybe not.
We'll keep. Don't worry. We'll just go back to
So-
us for a minute. We'll see when she appears. So
When
we're
we had our shops in Shropshire, we carried Pentacle Magazine.
we absolutely did.
And Pentacle Magazine had a distribution to over 200 metaphysical stores in the UK, but it also had distribution in the United States. And some of you know that Dion Fortune used to write basically what would have been like a magazine or a blog. And later on, Gareth Knight, one of her students, collected those writings and put them in a book. And that's what she's talking about when she said the articles are going to come out in a book form. So I imagine
That's going to be awesome.
Phoenix Flames
That's
is
probably
gonna-
a Phoenix
yeah.
Flames project, which we know naught about. Yes, I think the Intertubes have done Marion in at the moment. So when she comes back online, we'll bring her on. But in the interim, you're just going to have to put up with us, and we'll tell you a little bit. So while we were talking to her and setting a broadcast up, Marion very kindly said that if you guys go ahead and order either of her two books, which we have in stock, which is the Roman Calendars and Celtic Sacrifice, Pre-Christian Rites and Rituals, she will do your personalised book plate for them. So as before, if you want to give the store a call, 845-255-5756, we'll get you one of those. We have limited numbers of both, and it's not actually due for release for another 2 days, but we got it in already. So you can run to the store and grab your own. It's challenging when things don't work out, but I think she's got a really dodgy connection there. I know there was some horrendous weather in the UK the last couple of days. I don't know if you guys have been watching, but storm, what was it called? Dara, something
Yeah.
like that. Massive tidal flooding and waves and winds. I mean, where Christopher was, he posted a couple of things.
Let me know when it's my turn to talk.
Sure. Yeah, it's like 97 mile an hour winds. Anyway, go on. You talk. I'm always in it.
He's
It's only
just
the
trying
depth
to he's just trying to fill in space, and I'm trying to talk to you about our guest.
Well, go ahead and talk about the guest. That's fine, and
right.
hopefully she'll come back on. I'm
Yeah, she had I don't know if it's her son or grandson there with her, so maybe he'll get her back on. I don't know, but there was a magazine called The Cauldron, which was there she is.
we got.
Oh my
Hold on,
gosh, yes.
I've got to. Just a second. You've come up on a different thing, so I've got to fix things now.
I was talking about Pentacle. I was talking about Pentacle and saying that it'll be really interesting to see those articles put into book form. Is that a project that you're starting now, or is it near completion, or?
Hold on. Let me get a. So people can't see it. Just you have to.
It is near completion. Will that be published with Phoenix Flames as well? Okay. Oh yeah. Who's publishing the articles in book form then? Oh, that's all right. So I want to try. I would like to try to get them because I loved that magazine, and it'll be nice to have.
We've got just audio from Marion. We don't have a video signal from her at this time. I don't know whether you.
You could
It's the
still
voice,
hear you,
the
yes.
voice, the wonderful. Yeah, we're just showing an audio signal for you, not a video signal. So
You didn't by accident turn your camera off or anything.
suddenly you'll appear, hopefully. Hey!
Hey, there you are.
She's back. All right, let's.
Risen. Would you say
We got-
risen from the dead, perhaps?
There you go.
Sorry.
It's all fun, isn't it? You just got to love it when it's it's technology. We just grin and bear. Anyway, where did we get to? We in the interim while you
Everything. I
disappeared.
cannot believe that we were talking about astrology.
Yeah, I think you've done you mentioned certainly, was it Dr. John Dee, Elizabeth I astrologer and all that fun stuff. But you've gone further back. You've dug, I know, into old Roman texts and sort of really gone to
Exactly.
the source there.
Oh yes. Thanks. Oh, from Roman texts. We had wonderful Roman historians like Suetonius, right? And they wrote it all down. Ovid was brilliant, really brilliant. And it's wonderful. And you read them now, and you can still visualize it as if it's happening today. It's remarkable. It really is. And with the Celtics the same. Celtics, I think, were more. They were more oral. They spoke more than they wrote. But you've still got wonderful descriptions of things. I
Yes,
do
and-
believe, right, that modern technology has lost a lot. And when people write now about history books, they should go back to the source. Because unless you do that, how can you understand the civilizations? The civilizations, and they were brilliant civilizations, so distinct. They had such a respect, right, for the pagan gods and goddesses and the earth. Such a respect. Now, we would be good now, right, to go back and follow that.
Yes.
We have lost that in the modern world. They weren't like us. Everything was connected to the earth. Their lives were connected to the earth, which we still are. But we've lost the thing, right, of deity that connects to the earth. And I think this is what's so wonderful about paganism. It's all coming back.
Yes, it is.
It's practical.
Yes, it is. And I think
Practical,
people are
and
starting.
It's local.
It's localized, and I think people are also starting to recognize that the mythology and the gods and goddesses have a
It's still
strong
current.
connection to the stars and the planets.
Exactly. Oh, they used astrologers, right, which is a wonderful pagan, learned pagan tradition, right? They were used, they were respected, and they were correct. Now, do you honestly think, right, that all these royalties, right, Roman emperors, right, Celtic kings and that, would have put up with astrologers if it didn't work?
Right.
These people were ruthless. It shows to show, right? I mean, they would not have taken any notice of someone unless it was useful. Wouldn't have done it. And they did. Right? They ran their countries, right, through astrological principles, right, and paganism, which, of course, supports astrological. And where would they have been without it? You see, They
Right.
didn't do it because they liked it. They did it because it worked. And that's what we've got to remember.
Absolutely. And I think that the festivals or holy days were also that connection between the earth and the stars.
And it was a calendar. Right, it was a calendar, and certain parts of the, of the year you did this, and other parts of the year you did that, and it was all totally reliant on the earth, which it should be. It really should be. I think it's just nice now that we're going back to seeing how the earth and how we need to look after it, which is also,
Let's-
I believe, a form of paganism.
Let's hope that
Let's hope so.
the pagans prevail.
That's true. From your lips to the goddess's ears, because unfortunately it does seem there is, on the other hand, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. You've got a whole bunch of people who go, oh, nothing to see here, there's no climate change, we're fine, everything's good. It doesn't matter, the world's on fire, it's all good, Yeah, it does matter.
It does matter. And perhaps all these are happening, right, because we've got our priorities wrong. Right? We now put everything to the earth, right, at the bottom of things rather than the top. And of course, you see, you're going to get problems. I mean, you from astrology will know that. If you don't follow your charts, there'll be problems. It's the same thing, isn't it? They might not be aware of their charts, but that doesn't mean to say that the charts aren't there, right? And don't have power. Of course they have power, right? It's just up to us to whether we use it or not.
Exactly.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Yeah, you don't have to believe in something to it still exists whether you believe in it or not.
Like gravity and oxygen.
It does.
Exactly. Exactly.
You can't win nature, and I think that's what we try to do sometimes, Marion. I think modern man, for want of a better word, believes that we can dominate everything, nature included, but you can't win an earthquake. You can't win a tidal wave.
Can't win. I mean, look at the country, look at the world at the moment, right? Global catastrophe after catastrophe, right? This is because we are not looking after it. We are forgetting, right? And we shouldn't. Paganism, right? Its balance and its start and its beliefs, right, are in the earth, right? And then you take it out from that. But I think, with other people are forgetting that. And we need to go back, right, to our priorities before, we've still got a world left.
Right.
Kind of.
So I wanted to just ask one more question regarding the Roman calendar. Who would you think was one of their primary deities? I know that the Romans had a multitude of different gods and goddesses.
I don't think they actually had a primary god and goddesses. They had all of them, right? And they all did different things, right? Like people do different things. So gods and goddesses do different things. They didn't really have an overall sight of the world. It was a lot more nuanced, more towards what life was then, right? And what life is now. It hasn't changed. It really hasn't. And there was a lot less, more emphasis on the earth and the importance of it. I mean, if the Romans and the Celts and that were there, would we now be in such a state? Right?
Probably not.
We've got climate disaster, absolute disaster. Now everyone knows this, climate change. Right? Would it have been so extreme, right, if we'd have thought about it like ancient civilizations did? I'm sorry, I think no. It's come back to hit us.
It's interesting though, just in the mythologies of so many of the revealed religions.
Sol Invictus and like sun gods and moon goddesses, things like that.
Well, I was actually going to go back further and say that the deluge, this flood that appears in everything, so we've obviously got records somewhere of catastrophic climate events,
I think so. You see, people couldn't write, right? And so they relied on passing everything down. Like very, very important, like bards. Very important. But unfortunately, that's all very well, but you lose it over generations, right? Because there's nothing tangible, right? Everything was oral through bards.
True.
And I think that's a shame. I'm glad we are back to...
The oral tradition is the root of mythology, though, isn't it? It's necessary to create a story which is memorable, in order to pass the moral message, if you will. So the origin of myth is in itself quite fascinating. But I know
It's amazing.
you are quite the historian. I know that much. You've really dug
Yes,
into
thank
some
you.
stuff going there.
So
Oh, yes.
someone's
Yes.
asking.
My books took a long while to write, an awful long while to write. They weren't just, yes, no, I think I'll write a book, sorry, dear. Go up a few years later on the line and you're still writing the book, and because in those days, right, you had libraries and librarians, and that was the only place that you could get, you could get facts. And I think the librarians, when they saw me, we thought, oh dear, right, she's
Here
going to
she
watch
comes
something.
again.
She's going to watch something really unusual, right? We're going to have to go down the basement, right, and find, or some very rare book. I mean, in England we have something called the interlibrary loan, right, and you can go
Right.
into a library, right. Yes, and you can and then I'll get it from another library. But saying that, it can take up to 2 years, and it did used to take 2 years.
Oh my
Which is
goodness.
why, right? Which is why, right? If you are writing an ancient history book, it takes a long while.
Yeah. So talking about a little bit of history, personal history, did you found Pentacle magazine, or did you come to it when it was already established? And do you know how it
I
came
found
into
it.
being? You did found it.
I did find it, but yes, I did. I thought that the pagan community needed an independent pagan magazine. I still consider it extremely important. It's the way we communicate. A magazine is everything. I mean, nowadays, right, you've got social media and it's not so important. But at that time, right, there was no social media. People went and communicated via specialist magazines. And
Right.
that's what I did.
Because it would
Very
list in,
important.
I remember there was almost like a classified ad place in the back where it would tell where different moots were
There
going
was
to
a
be
classified.
held.
Yeah, where the moots were going to be held. Also, charities. Right, I was very big on charities. Right, I used especially animal charities, right, or earth charities. Pagan charities or
Right.
pagan sponsored charities. Right, and I believe that was a huge part of the magazine. I'm very proud that I allowed small charities all over the country, right, dealing with the environment, right, and dealing with animals, which I consider pagan, right, and I was able to give them space, and I'm very proud of that.
And
Very important.
Pentacle was around like what, 2 decades nearly, right?
Oh yeah, it was a long while. Yeah, yeah. I got old, and look at the state of me. You can only do these things for so long.
I understand.
Come on, you.
Awful work went into it, and I suppose it got to, do you lower the standard, right, or do you stop? And I couldn't lower the standard. I'm sorry. I am very proud of my years in Pentacle. We had amazing writers, and I brought paganism to a lot of people, and I'm extremely proud of that.
Yes, you should be.
You should be, because it was a brilliant, brilliant magazine and an invaluable resource.
Yeah.
And you went on then with the Pagan Federation, get it right, Anton, the Pagan Federation, to do the Pagan Dawn magazine as well, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
I was, yes, before, yes. I did edit Pagan Dawn for 2 years, and I'm quite proud of that. It was a good
Another
magazine.
fabulous magazine,
was a good
indeed.
magazine, too.
Another. I think
Yes,
you mentioned
that's it.
social media, and I completely concur. The problem is with social media, and a lot of people don't realise this, that it's driven by an algorithm, and what you're looking at on your page is built just a few seconds or even microseconds before you even scroll
I know.
up to it, and they just want to keep your eyes on there and go nowhere else. So it doesn't challenge you. It doesn't throw anything in your face. It doesn't ask you to ask questions. It just reinforces your entrenched viewpoint, and as such it does more harm, in my humble opinion, than good.
No, I am, but unfortunately, right, I mean, when I ran Pentacle, there was an awful lot of pagan magazines in the UK. We used to have an exchange magazine, right? And at the back of the magazine, everyone put their magazine, and you sent them to them, and they sent them to you, and it was a wonderful thing. Oh, there was an awful lot of them, 20, I think, pagan magazines. Of course, that's all gone.
Right, right.
You do a pagan magazine, you do it for love, right? It is not a financial proposition. You do it for love. You really
Absolutely,
do.
yeah.
And we were very fortunate in the UK. We had a lot of wonderful pagan magazines, but now there's social media, and it's a shame. I think it's a loss.
The social media and the plagans, I call them, the plagans have
True,
taken
true.
over.
You can regurgitate somebody else's work in a book in like 10 seconds, especially with AI, and you've got these fake authors appearing all over the place. But you you did it properly. and people, I think people forget that. People forget that if you are going to learn something, if you're really going to expand your mind and grow, you need to put a bit of effort into it.
It takes time to
It
collect
does.
the
And
information.
commitment. And commitment.
I could not agree with you more, right? It's vital. It's important, right? You can't just take, right? I believe to be pagan, right? You've got to do something to save the earth, especially if you're younger. Doesn't matter what you do, right? But you've all got to do something. If we could all do just one little thing, think what a difference that would make. Now, this is what I like about paganism, right? It's practical, right? And that is the ethos of paganism. You don't just say, "Well, I believe I'm a pagan." You say, "What can I do? I'm a pagan." Very different.
I
Very different.
think,
And that's what makes paganism wonderful.
I think you've hit the nail on the head here, and oddly enough, it was coincidental with a conversation we were having with a couple of people just the other night, that the revealed religions seem to offer a promise of, eternal life or reward in the afterlife, and of no relevance is what's going on here. And whereas paganism says, what's going on here is really important.
Exactly.
This is what you do now. Exactly.
It's a totally different perspective, right? And I think this is a perspective that's important and that will grow. We're just seeing the beginnings of it. Right? Over the years, it's going to grow. I
believe that.
I believe this. I'm sorry, totally.
Yeah.
Especially now. Yes, social media. There's pagan groups in social media.
Yes, there are.
You can use it, right, to communicate with others, which is nice. I think the major religions, I don't know. I think we need to get back to being personal, right, and our responsibility to the other people and the earth.
The pendulum swings.
This is me saying the pendulum is going to swing back the other way. I really think.
The harder you push it up, the quicker it's going to come back against you with a bit more force.
Tell us a little bit more, too, about your Celtic Sacrifice book.
Yeah.
You did some research with different Celtic spirituality, or how was that?
My books are historic, right? They're historic. I'm a firm believer, right? Paganism, yes, modern paganism is new, right? But paganism has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. It was the religion for many, many years, and that is what made me write. It's nothing modern about them. It's about what ancients believed, and what is valid then is valid now. That's what I believe.
The roots and the foundation of modern paganism come from
Tradition,
yeah.
Pre-Christian rites and rituals.
Yeah.
Yes, it's important. It's really is. You can redo them now. Perhaps they need to be altered a bit. You can't have animal sacrifice anymore. But apart from that, they're fine.
Well, that was I think that was very much connected to astrology and agriculture as well, the animal sacrifice.
Well, yes, exactly. No, you see, there's something, right? Astrology. Now, modern pagans, right? We know astrology works, and it's been had a revival, right? Barely based on paganism, and I think that's lovely. I really do.
Oh, I
You know, this
think
is
that,
proper astrology that you study.
yes. But you see, I
Yeah,
think that's what separates the Plagans, sorry, but that's my word for them. What separates the Plagans from the people who truly want to make a difference are the ones who do pay attention and who try to learn
exactly,
and to look back for that empirical
exactly.
evidence. Yeah.
I
I mean,
think
isn't it one, religion that we've got something right to help the earth, that it's in us to help the earth, help other animals, right? Isn't that wonderful? Rather than ourselves, right? And it's not always some strange high almighty God, right? It's little gods for what you want, right? And the earth is sacred. I'm
Yep.
sorry, that's lovely. The more
I,
people can think like that, the better.
I love the idea of a genus loci. I think it really is. It connects you more deeply to where you are, and if you hold the land upon which you stand as inherently sacred, you are less inclined to abuse it. I would suggest. Which
Exactly.
mankind's almost like a
Exactly.
wart on this planet. We just
We have to learn and respect the land we're living on and the animals that are living there. We have to respect them. And this is what is essential in paganism, right? And that's what makes it such a beautiful religion.
right, and that and observing, observing the world
Mm,
around you, looking at the
mm,
cycle of the seasons, looking at where the moon and the sun rise and where they
mm.
set and how they climb in the sky. All of these things, that, but we, we. I don't know if you know, Marion, but we teach a course called "Coming Home to the Craft of the Wise," and it takes a year and a day to
Oh,
complete it. And
really?
we bill it as a not your get which quick course kind of thing. And I think, for one thing, as a pagan elder, you've probably seen all sorts of people come flying in claiming to be this, that, and everything else,
Oh, yes,
But
definitely.
ultimately, ultimately, I guess at the end of the day, it's what I'm trying to get out of you. What advice would you give to a neophyte, somebody who's just coming to the path now? What as a well-respected craft elder who's done it, seen it, got the t-shirt. What
Yeah,
advice would you personally offer to them?
I would advise go to the heart and the soul of paganism. Learn about it, read whatever you can. We've got very fortunate, we've got excellent pagan elders to read, and then do something about it. Join something, say either an eco group, for the environment or animals, but give a bit back because that's what it's about. That's what it's about, and that's what I believe.
Do you follow a specific pantheon yourself?
No,
Okay.
no, 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 no. I'm just no. I love paganism. I firmly believe the earth is sacred. And I
Right.
think I love all the old gods and goddesses because they each had just a little bit, There
Right.
wasn't a big almighty God, there wasn't. This bit does with them, that bit does with them, and that's nice. I like that. I also love the thing, right? You have to look after it. I like that. I really do.
I
It's not
think
enough
you're. I
just to
think the
say,
exactly the ethos of ask not so much what the craft can do for you, but what you can do for the craft, or what you can do for the planet,
well
or
put,
what you can, and
well
that
put. That is exactly what I'm trying to say.
JFK. That's a very JFK.
Yeah.
Ask us what you can do for your country.
It's
Or
true.
what your
though.
country can do for you.
It's true. I mean, I the one thing that I think irks Lisa and I is that we've been round the block ourselves. We're getting up there too. We're not exactly spring chickens anymore. But we see people, who's, what should I do for this? What should I do for that? What can I get? What can I get? What can I get? What about the relationship? If all you ever do every time you meet a friend is ask them for money or something, they're not going to be your friend very long, are they? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. And you see, and this is what paganism is. You've got to do your bit, and that's nice. I think it's nice.
I agreed. Tell us about your book, the one we've got two of them. Got the Roman calendar. So just as a brief outline, what then is your Roman calendar book? What if you had to describe it to somebody? I don't know what she's talking about. How would you describe it?
I would say that my books are right. Live the ancient. See how these ancient civilizations lived, what they did, their lifestyles. That is what my books are about.
So it kind of illustrates how not just the mechanics of the calendar, but the rites, the rituals, the celebrations, the things
Exactly.
Okay.
You're getting into their civilization, right? These ancient people, they had a wonderful civilization that lasted a long while, an awful long while. And it lasted because they had gods and goddesses that they could communicate with and intermingle with. God for this, God for that. And it's so important.
I know we sometimes I know this sounds terribly irreverent, I guess is the word, but sometimes when we're pulling into a parking lot, we'll offer a little plea to the great goddess of parking, to find us.
That's what I'm talking about. You see, modern paganism can be adapted, right? When you sit in the car, thank you very much, God and goddesses, for allowing me to have a car, which I can get to places. Thank you.
Right.
Gratitude, eh?
You go somewhere, you go out for lunch. Thank you very much, God and goddesses. You've allowed me to go out for lunch. All sorts of things. You can give thanks.
Right. And I think that an attitude of gratitude is a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I have another question. Somebody's asking, in the Celtic Sacrifice book, what nations do you have you written about in that? Like what constitutes Celtic to you? I guess
geographical area, is that what they're talking about?
Pardon?
I think it's mainly European.
European. Yeah. Okay.
Northern Europe, eh?
The Celtic nations.
Celtica was a big area at one point. It really was.
Huge. It was a huge empire.
What's fascinating, though, there is more people now in the United States who can claim a Celtic heritage or a Celtic lineage than actually are living in all of the 7 surviving Celtic nations. So there's a lot of people in America.
Right, there are more people with Irish DNA in the States than there are
in Ireland. It's true. It's
crazy.
It's wild.
Well,
they all left in.
Yeah, we're working on trying to secure 30 acres of land. We want to create a place called Celtica, where we do organic farming and have bees and a roundhouse and that kind of thing.
Oh, so how wonderful.
We've been working on that since before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it got derailed, and then a different piece of property, but we're still holding on to that. We have no idea what the next 4 years are going to bring.
Deep breath.
Don't think anyone has.
No.
I know.
I mean, the pandemic was horrific. Absolutely.
It was. Oh God, yeah. Absolutely. We're just grateful that we're still here, and gwaith our pawb and popeth, yam o hyd.
It's very, very hard to think very hard to think that that was, like 4.5 years ago, 5 years ago.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Right? 2025, and the pandemic was 2020. And it just seems like we've lost that whole bit of time.
It's like a little void.
Yes.
I know. Time marches on, doesn't it? And I don't know. I just think the days are getting shorter or whatever.
Yeah,
it's time.
I think that the months are going by in a week. It seems like I can't believe it's the end of this year again.
I know, it's crazy.
It's
crazy.
It seems like it just started.
But
I do think that that's another reason why people are focusing more on taking care of the planet and taking care of themselves and trying to learn these old ways, because you might not be able to just run to the grocery store for XYZ. You might have to be a little more responsible. And I think that's a big difference between, like the Abrahamic religions and pagan religions. There's a much deeper understanding of personal responsibility.
True. We saw a really moving. I don't know if the word is documentary, but it was about ancient monuments and how they've become revealed, particularly within the Amazon rainforest, with the absolutely barbaric clearing of the forest that has happened in recent years. And I think people don't realise that it's the lungs of the planet that we're ripping out here.
Exactly. Couldn't agree with you more. It'll affect everybody, all of us.
All of us, even though it's the other side of the world. Yeah.
It's interesting, though, as
yes, this is why we must go back to the earth as sacred. This is which is the basis of paganism. Right? This is why, right? We must stop abusing it.
Yeah,
I absolutely.
The fascinating part is where they have taken out and strip mined these trees. It's revealing earthworks like Stonehenge.
Really?
But they're more like Woodhenge, Yeah, there's all these geometric earthworks that are being seen because the trees are gone. But the trees are gone is a big deal.
It is. Even though we've discovered something new, it's. I think we've forgotten because certainly in prehistoric times where there was no written history, I think we've no idea what we knew back then. That we were far more advanced society. That's my own personal take on it, and I think we've lost a lot.
I agree. We have lost a lot. You see, in ancient civilizations, memories, right, were considered very important. So everything was passed down orally, because they could not imagine a time like now, right, where it wasn't like that. They just couldn't imagine it. And I think that's such a shame, because who knows what's been lost through an oral tradition.
So it's very true, because the game of telephone, it does, send reinforcements, we're going to advance, eventually turns into send reinforcements, we're going to a dance, It's tricky. But again, if mythology is solid, which is why it's so important, certainly within the old Welsh bardic tradition, that the mythologies do get memorized and they do get told, and you have to work a long time to learn them and be able to tell those tales. But those tales themselves have much deeper meaning when you dig into them. And I think there's so much. It's often said that when an elder dies, a library dies with them. So I just want to say thank you for writing your books, because there is much we can learn. If you choose. No, thank you very much. It's other way right back at you, Marion, and thank you also for the. I have to tell you, you're very very quiet and very unassuming. But I just want to let our viewers know the craft probably wouldn't be what the craft is today were it not for Marion. Seriously, she was hugely influential in a lot of things and a lot of areas, and has connected an awful lot of dots and joined people together, and really, should really deserve far more credit than she's been awarded thus far. So I have to tell you. No, we know what you did.
Exactly, another one of the craft's well-kept secrets. I think you are.
I suspect. And we would urge our viewers to really, and Marion very kindly. Well, just before we came on air, Marion has very kindly said if you go ahead and order said book from us, or books, we have 2 in stock right now, which is the Roman Calendar and Celtic Sacrifice, Pre-Christian Rites and Rituals. She will do you a personalised book plate. So
and we will definitely look into getting the Pentacle articles book too. I think that will be great value.
Clue us in on that when you know more. We would be grateful. We really would. Oh, it's been a joy to have you.
Could you
Go on.
Could you send me your email address?
Absolutely.
Oh, delighted.
Absolutely.
Be delighted.
Also, we usually do a tiny bit of astrology for the week and pull a card for our viewers for the week. So I'm just going to jump in really quick and say that between now and the spring, there are so many things happening that will affect the globe. But very specific to this week, we have some interesting things going on. So we know we had said before that Mars was in Cancer, and it was going to go back and forth in Cancer until April. And that's a very long time for a sign to host Mars. And Mars doesn't like Cancer, and Cancer doesn't like Mars. Well, recently it had moved into Leo for a little bit. But on the 6th, it started retrograding, moving backwards. So it's between now and January 6th, it's going to move its way back into Cancer.
Oh, bless.
But right now, it's at the very beginning of Leo going retrograde. So this kind of helps us feel a little more tired, a little, maybe a little more aggressive, and pushy and entitled. So we have that going on. And then its kind of partner, Venus, right? Mars and Venus are your masculine, feminine kind of energies that have to do with your emotions and relationships. Venus is just moved into Aquarius. So it is in opposition with that Mars retrograde. And opposition isn't always a nice thing. And it has conjunct, come to the same spot, right? As Pluto. So Venus and Pluto are acting as one character. So you've got Venus with the destroyer, recreator, in an argument with Mars. So it's going to be a rough week.
What could possibly go wrong?
And they are also making a T-square to the moon in Taurus.
Ow.
So whenever we see a T-square, we look to the missing planet in that set of signs for inspiration. But of course, that is Scorpio. So I think this
Scorpio has an unusual way of dealing with things.
This week might be an interesting dirty deeds done dirt cheap kind of week. And I think we all need to be aware to understand that we cannot take back our words once we've said them.
Amen, the truth.
So be mindful with your intentions. Be mindful to be kind. And don't let anybody light your fuse.
Yes.
So
yes, I think in a world where you can be anything, be kind is probably de rigueur. Yeah, because Scorpio's approach is, should we stab it? Should we kill it?
No, honestly, though, this is going to be quite a week of passion, aggression, and explosion if you don't try to control yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
Be nice to me then, eh?
No.
I'm always in it. It's only the
card
depth
of the week.
Oh, what we got? Oh, hello.
Oh, card of the week, 2 of Pentacles. So get your juggling act on.
You might have to.
Get your juggling act on, and we know that this card also connects to the Magician. They've got that infinity sign there, and the magician is ruled by Mercury. So again, Mercury's retrograde. So mind your words, mind your intentions, recheck, redo, reorganize, and don't fly off the handle.
Oh no, that's too late, isn't it? You will find yourself with many plates on sticks. I think you're going to be running around almost like the headless chicken, trying to keep everything in balance. But hey, people will notice you at least. But don't be noticed for the wrong reasons, I suggest. What the hell's the lunatic doing now? Kind of thing. Just try to be calm and kind if you can. There's going to be a lot of buttons pushed this week, isn't there? Unfortunately.
And again, astrology and that understanding of what's going on isn't just for yourself. It's what's happening in your community, in your country, and globally. So we're going to see a lot of saber rattling and challenges and possibly very scary things, but the idea is not to give in to that fear.
Yeah. Remember, fear is only the second most powerful force in the universe.
Yep.
Love is the most powerful.
Get your Venus on.
In a world where you can be anything, be kind. Marion,
but it is interesting that Venus is in Aquarius, so that's the humanitarian side.
It is, yeah. So no matter how hard somebody pushes this, there's always going to be this pushback. So we always have hope. I think that's so important. Marion, thank you. Honestly, it's
Thank
a
you
joy
so
to have
very
you on the
much.
show. We're so looking forward to you doing those book plates. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for doing that.
People are saying lovely things. We have, I love your wisdom and concern for the earth, and thank you for realizing that animals and trees are sacred too.
They are.
This was a lovely chat, so down to earth, helps remind us all that we are infinite beings doing magical things daily. And as for the astrology, I'm going to hide in my room.
These are the rambling.
Lovely.
I don't know if you can see that tiny little scribble there.
Oh.
This is what she works on, these mad ramblings. She's just like,
It's in glyph.
it's in glyphs, and it's like, don't make some sense. I can follow
lovely.
that. It says T square moon to Taurus, right?
Uh-huh.
See, I'm getting better at interpreting these crazy scribbles here.
Marion, what a pleasure
What a
and
joy.
an honor to have you on the program.
Thank you.
We would love to connect with you, and we'll send you our email. We definitely want to carry that Pentacle.
The articles.
Yeah, no, I would do another interview if you'd like.
Oh, fantastic!
Thank you.
Fantastic.
That would be awesome.
Be lovely.
That would be awesome.
Thank you so much. So very, very much for your time.
All right. So everybody
Thank you.
have a wonderful and beautiful week. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being our fine people. And as I say, we've only got a few copies. So if you want one of Marion's books, give us a shout. We'll get a book plate signed for you. Thank you so much. So you guys, you're the one who has to hit that
I'm
button
gonna
there
say
when we're ready.
Yep. I'm going to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It
Yes.
was a wonderful day. And don't lose your head. We're still in that space. Don't lose your head. And we'll see you next week. Peace.
Thank you.
Bye for now. Thanks for
Bye.
joining us. Take care.
Bye. Bye.
All right.
All right, we're clear. Thank you for that, Marion. That was amazing.